Smash Ultimate has been out for almost 4 years, and people have been playing Smash competitively as a whole for more than 20 years, but we continue to make history. This past weekend, we had 3 Smash Ultimate Majors on the same weekend. The first time we've ever had 3 concurrent Smash Majors for the same game in over 20 years of mashing buttons for pride and money. We'll take you through all of the drama and intrigue from Maisuma top number 9 in Japan, Ultimate Wanted 4 in France, and Shine 2022 in the good old US of A in our big weekend recap of Oops, All Majors! We'll work through all this in chronological order, meaning that we'll cover Maisuma first, then Wanted after that, and finally ending with Shine. Akola has remained mostly unchallenged as the best player in Japan since his offline debut in March of this year. This weekend was no different, using Steve and a surprisingly potent Kazuya that he uses on Final Destination to eviscerate the competition. He only dropped 3 games in 9 sets, and it wasn't like he was playing against scrubs either. He beat Yu, the best Zelda in Japan, and 3 players from the PGRU's Japanese Players to Watch list, Tora, Gact, and Protobanum. This was all before he even made it to Winners Finals, where he squared off with the world's best Dr. Mario Sumusuto, and after a quick 3-1, he breezed by one of the last Inkling mains left on the planet in Shiryuki in a brutal 3-0, ended by a vicious 3-stock from none other than Kazuya Mishima. He's entered 15 online tournaments and won 13 of them, a match marked only by, you guessed it, MK Leo between Halloween 2019 and Riptide in September of 2021. And it's not like he's farming small, irrelevant locals either. He played against a PGRU or Japanese PGR featured player at every tournament he's attended, and he still sports a 92% set win percentage, higher than any other PGR player. He and Protobanum are both going to be at Smash Ultimate Summit 5 in September, and we will finally have a chance to see what we've all been waiting for. Akola versus MK Leo. Ultimate's rising star versus Ultimate's reigning god. But Akola's vice-like grip over Japan isn't the only story emanating from Maisuma. Hiro, Ken, and Protobanum all made top 8, either matching their seed or finishing with a -1 SPR, but other than that, the rest of top 8 had an average SPR of 5.25. Atorie was ranked 32nd on the NA PGRU V3 with mostly Pokemon Trainer, but he used predominantly Wolf on the way to a 7th place finish and a +2 SPR. While this isn't purely a statistic, it is worth noting that when making a rough list of the 5 best PT mains in the world between Atorie, Quid, Moxie, Beast, and Puppe, all but Quid have very prominent Wolf secondaries or dual mains. Moxie in particular notable for picking up Wolf as her main, with PT falling to a secondary. Atorie's fellow Wolf main and 7th place finisher Masha made waves in pools by beating Mia, the Game & Watch main that shocked everyone by winning Kagaribi and clocking in the biggest upset of the tournament with an upset factor of 10. He went on to beat Taikei, Showers, and Tora to secure a 7th place finish and a +6 SPR. Mia, unfortunately, would get some of the worst bracket luck of the summer, losing to Komei in a battle for 49th place after Japan's top Shulk was upset by an upstart Min named Shirube. Now, Masha has been around for a while. He was a Brawl vet, and being one of Japan's best Brawl Falco players, and one of the country's best Smash 4 Diddy Kongs before switching off to Wolf in Ultimate. Until this weekend, he hadn't quite found the same success as he'd enjoyed in the past. He'd always been an upset threat with sets off of T, the Link, and Abadango, but this tournament is his first top 8 in Ultimate's life at a tournament with more than 200 players. Now, for those of you who were paying attention earlier, you might have heard us talk about Akola beating a Dr. Mario main in Winners Finals, and yes, I'm not kidding you, that is a thing that happened at a tournament with nearly 500 players. Longtime followers of the channel might think that this was Shiso, the doc that won Super Regional Kowloon No. 1 in June over players like Munikin and Pasariman. But nope, it was Sumusuto, a doc main with a nasty Mii Gunner secondary who was first introduced to American players when he finished in the top 3 of 3 straight 100+ entrant brackets with the most educated Mario brother at the end of 2021. As the 39th seed, he got wins on Shogun, Toriguri, Radikusu, the DK player who double eliminated Aim, Masha, and Shiryuki to make it to Winners Finals. As Dr. Mario. Sumisuto came up just short of making it to Grand Finals because of the next player we'll talk about, but his brutal punishes and smart neutral carried him through the bracket to a third place finish and a +8 SPR, and I cannot stress this enough, as Dr. Mario. He made every other doc in the world look like Dr. Bob to his Dr. Pepper. Shirayuki was the 11th seed, and while he was only able to scrape together a comparatively tame +5 SPR, he did so on a massive run to second with Inkling, a character that, while definitely better than Doc, is nearly as forgotten in the current meta. His run was also a veritable who's who of all the best Japanese smashers, with wins over Akakikusu, Alice, Hiro, Ken, Hiro again, and then Sumisuto before falling to Akola for second. 5 wins over top 50 players in Japan is crazy, and is as many as Akola and Sumisuto had combined in their Maisuma runs. Even more impressive, this is Shirayuki's first top 8 finish at any tournament with 250 players or more, and just the breakout performance that he was looking for to launch him into the top echelon of players in Japan. While the parity in every Japanese tournament is fascinating, it can feel stale watching Akola just win bracket after bracket. And it has us thinking, if only an old Japanese legend could rise from the ashes of Pokemon Unite to challenge him for his spot on the throne. Following all that, as we have France's Ultimate Wanted 4, which astoundingly only had a single player in the top 64 finish with an SPR of +3 or better, and only one player in the top 64 with an SPR of -3 or worse. In what can only be called the greatest individually seeded tournament of all time, Wanted 4 had no players finish in the top 24 that had an SPR of more than +2, and only one player, J-Dizzle, finished below their seed line. He was the 16th seed, and he finished 17th. Another notable absence was Gluttony, who played in day 1 of the tournament, but DQ'd later due to an illness and finished 65th as a result. Other than that, there weren't even that many upsets. Base Mage beat Chag, but that brings Base Mage to 4-1 over Chag all time. The biggest upset of the weekend was probably Bowser main Sandro's 3-2 win over Bloom Forever, and while that was a win with an upset factor of 5, Sandro would go on to lose his next 2 sets to finish 33rd and a modest SPR of +1. The real intrigue comes from the champ, and it's almost fitting that the least chaotic tournament was toppled by Smash's biggest wildcard. Zachary spent most of this year playing Pokemon Unite, Pokemon's MOBA answer to League of Legends, which says more about the lack of money in competitive Smash than anything else. But when one of his teammates slept through their World Championship qualifiers match, Zachary looked to make a return to Smash. And what a serendipitously unfortunate occasion to give us back one of the most exciting and dynamic players this game has ever seen. This is Zachary's first tournament of more than 100 players since Kagaribi 6 in January, where he rode a 7-set losers run to win a 768-person bracket over all of Japan's best talent. Months later, Zachary picked up right where he left off, using Joker and Rob to beat Tarek, Base Mage, Siski, and Shutone twice to take the tournament. Other than an epic Game 10 Grand Finals with Shutone, Zachary absolutely handled every single one of his opponents, only dropping 2 games before Grands. His Joker looked precise and polished, and was reminiscent of MK Leo at his very best, but the Rob was a true menace, getting a mile out of every inch given to him by his opponents. We've seen players like Anathema and Big Boss show Rob's strengths and advantage, but Zachary's advantage state is truly otherworldly. And if he comes back for good, he should be thought of as the person to push the Rob meta as far as it can possibly go. Beyond top 8, the biggest run of note belonged to Muffy, a French Wario main who was knocked into losers early after being upset by Ikotois, but cracked off 8 set wins in a row, including wins on Vins, Peppo, and Sintro to finish 17th, with an SPR of +5. Finally, it's worth noting that the stream runners had a pretty good idea of how deadly Kazuya could be, changing the scores of matches to indicate another Kazuya win pretty much every time he got a hit on last stock. And that Tease Kazuya especially showed that inside all of us, there are 2 wolves. One that just really likes the A button, and one that is playing chess in 4 dimensions. Last but certainly not least, we have Shine, where not only was there pride and money on the line, but a summit spot as well. That spot went to Cosmos, who has earned his way into the last Summit spot now twice in 2 post-lockdown attempts. The first coming through his win at MSM 240 for Ultimate Summit 3. Ever since picking up Pyra and Mithra when they released during the lockdown period, he has gone from one of Ultimate's most consistent gatekeepers to one of its most volatile players. It's almost like the player who plays 2 different characters at once is 2 different people occupying the same body. He has results, like his wins here over Quandale Dinglingleton, Jackal, Tweak, Light, and Zomba, along with a win at Glitch Infinite, a 2nd place at the Smash World Tour Finals, and 4th at Gommel 2022, but these are interspersed with a bevy of 17ths, 25ths, and 33rds. The Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde act is almost predictable at this point, with Cosmos seemingly being the best version of himself when the chips are down and nobody believes in him anymore. He handed Light his first loss at a major to a player ranked outside the top 10 in the PGR since February, and he picked up 3 top 10 wins of his own only a week after losing to non-PGR players Atada and Nico at Rise and Grind. Depending on what version of Cosmos we get at Summit, he could finish anywhere. So maybe, if you want to see him do well, you should just write him off. He might just run the table. Not one player in the top 12 placed their seed at Shine, with Cosmos and Zomba outplacing high expectations and Light and Tweak coming up just short, but there are 2 more players to make top 8 that at this point we need to stop being surprised by. Syrup and Axiom XL. Syrup is 15, and he plays with the hand speed of someone unencumbered by the brutal march of time. His combo game, tricky movement, and consistency with a character that can run into damned if you do and damned if you don't situations is purely mesmerizing. Since finishing 1 line below his seed at his first post-lockdown major, Riptide, he's only placed below his seed at 1 major, Genesis 8, where due to bad bracket luck he was taken down by French Lucina main Leon in a matchup considered by Ness mains to be his worst. Outside of those 2 blemishes, he has outplaced his seed 6 times and matched it twice, making him one of the most consistently overlooked players in Smash when it comes to seeding. This weekend added to his lengthy resume, starting off with a 3-0 statement win over Mars, and then taking Tweak to Game 5 before beating Beast and Jackal to secure a 5th place finish. Every time we watch him play, he just gets better, and we're starting to reach the point where he has a case to be talked about among the best Nest players in the world. Do not be surprised if you see him on the PGR sooner rather than later, and certainly don't be surprised if seeders start giving the kid more respect as time goes on. Up next we have Axiom XL, who is featured in Area 51 of the PGR UV3. He's long been a regional threat in New England, but he was missing a signature performance at a major to really get his name out there. Shine 2022 was that performance. Axiom used mostly Kazuya to beat Sor, Brujo, Mars, and Esam before being reverse 3-0'd by Tweak in losers quarters for 5th. He just kept winning when it mattered most, and he gutted out tough wins in tough Kazuya matchups in Joker and Pikachu to ultimately secure his +2 SPR. At the risk of making a video even longer than it already is, we do have 2 more runs to talk about briefly belonging to Anarchy and Brujo. These 2 were entering their 1st and 3rd offline tournaments of more than 100 players ever. Brujo, a K-Roll player from Massachusetts, upset fellow statesman Hat to make it out of his pool on winner's side, and then really kicked the PGStats upset robot into gear by taking his first set outside of pools 3-2 over Mutace. That was good for an upset factor of 8, which would remain the biggest of the tournament. He then went on to beat Kiwi and Ice Climbers / Sheik main Yossi, who was on quite the run of their own. Brujo, the K-Roll player, mind you, ended up 1 game away from making it to Sunday's top 12, but ultimately falling in 5 close games to Philly's resident PT and Wolf Beast for a final SPR of +5. Meanwhile, Canadian Greninja main Anarchy, at his first ever major, joined the cabal of young American Greninja mains like Ice Knight and Goofy Goober, showing that the Ninja Frog is a real meta threat. He upset Steve Extraordinaire Yanni, and then Bran, Craftus, and Zelda main the Actuary to lock himself into Sunday's top 12, but losses to Light and Esam sent him home 1 set short of top 8, with an SPR of +7. That was good for the 2nd highest of the weekend, behind only Sumisuto. Both players were the chaos in the bracket, making big upsets and then doubling down on the paths they created. The reptile and amphibian players were cold-blooded during the hot, desert-like conditions at Shine and showed everyone how much character diversity there is in this game. All in all, this weekend was very busy in the world of Smash, whether we were watching the return of old heroes, the reign of new kings, or players proving that they're clutch when it matters. And if you want to keep up with all the excitement in the Smash community, subscribe to the channel and we'll keep you up to date with everything, even if it means we need to stay up 24/7 to watch every major. I've been Kimona, and from all of us here at PGStats, thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time.